Hi everyone, welcome to our next test on the body systems unit. This will be our first test, but let's go and get into it. Remember, throughout this recording, feel free to pause and just kind of take your time to answer questions, no rush at all. So if you need a pause, please do so, otherwise I'll keep it going. All right, so this first part is matching. Please make sure that you put the letter of the one that you select on the line. So let's say if you think number 1 is A, make sure you put A on the line. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and read through the definition, and then I will read you the terms. All right, so A, protein-coated genetic material capable of infecting living things, and this thing is not a cell. Is it infection, unicellular, living, virus, pathogen, multicellular, cell, or non-living? B, invasion of an organism's body that can cause a disease. This is the invasion. Is it infection, unicellular, living, virus, pathogen, multicellular, cell, or non-living? C, an organism made up of one cell, a single-celled organism. Infection, unicellular, living, virus, pathogen, multicellular, cell, or non-living. D, made up of one or more cells. Infection, unicellular, living, virus, pathogen, multicellular, cell, non-living. E, an organism made up of multiple different types of cells. I'll let you read through them on your own this time, so I'm not repetitive. So E, an organism made up of multiple different types of cells. F, does not have cells. F, does not have cells. G, the smallest structural and functional unit that is said to be alive. So the smallest living thing. And the last one, H, a bacteria, virus, or other microorganism that can cause a disease. A bacteria, virus, or other microorganism, or maybe a fungus, that can cause a disease. Please make sure that you put the letter on the line. Then if you're ready to move on, just keep the video playing. If not, feel free to pause me and then play it again when you are ready. Let's go ahead and move on to the multiple choice. So pick the one best answer choice. So there's only one answer per question. All right, so number 9. Which of the following is the correct order to write a scientific explanation? Isn't it reasoning, claim, evidence? Claim, evidence, reasoning? Claim, reasoning, evidence? Or the order does not matter. Which of the following is the correct order to write a scientific explanation? Next question, number 10. Which of the following is always true about living organisms? Think about what it means to be living. What is always true about living organisms? All living organisms contain more than one type of cell. All living organisms must have legs. All living organisms can be seen without using a microscope. All living organisms are made up of one or more cells. Which of the following is always true about living organisms? Question 11. Which pathogen is considered to be non-living? Is it bacterium, virus, fungus, or D, all of the pathogens are living? Which pathogen is considered to be non-living? All right, the next few are true and false. So if you think the statement is true, put a T, or you can write out true. Or if you think the statement is false, you can put an F or write out false. All right, so number 12. Like a cell, a virus contains many different types of organelles. So remember, organelles are like the organs in our body. That's the equivalent. So is this true or false? Like a cell, a virus contains many different types of organelles. Put a T for true or an F for false. "13. All cells come from other cells. Is it true or false? All cells come from other cells. 14. In order for an organism to be living, the organism must have the ability to move. True or false? In order for an organism to be living, the organism must have the ability to move. Think about what it means for something to be living if you're stuck. All right, the next part, it says use the epidemiology graph to help you answer the questions in complete sentences. All right, so SpongeBob and Patrick decided to throw a surprise birthday party for Squidward at the Weenie Hut Juniors. After the party, many of the guests did not feel well. 10 guests are sick and 10 are not. SpongeBob and Patrick are very confused to where the source of the outbreak is. The graph below illustrates where the guests traveled throughout the time of the party. So the places that people could have gotten sick are the dance floor, Plankton's homemade birthday cake, the Krabby Patty eating contest, a cotton candy machine, or a chocolate fountain. Just a little note that X's mean that the people are sick or ill, and O's mean that the people are not sick or ill. All right, 15. So you don't have to do anything with this graph other than read it. So our first question is that what is the purpose of your investigation? So what are you trying to accomplish by reading this graph? Feel free to pause so you get time to write. 16, based on the data, so looking at our epidemiology graph, where is most likely the source of the outbreak? So based on the data in the epidemiology graph, where do you think is most likely the source of the outbreak? If you need a pause to write, feel free, no rush. But I'm going to move on to the next one. All right, the directions say, use the diagram of the animal cell to help you complete questions 18 through 25. All right, so it looks like we get a word bank. So we have 4 words in our word bank, and we have 4 lines here, okay? So you need to use the words from the word bank to identify the different types of organelles in the cell. So the first one is the nucleus. The next one is mitochondria, rough endoplasmic reticulum, or rough ER, and centrioles. 17 is pointing towards this big thing in the middle. 18 is pointing towards this guy right here. 29 is, that's weird, that's not right. It would have been 19, sorry, is pointing to the thing attached to the nucleus with the dots. And 20 is pointing towards these things right here. If you need a pause, please do. If it helps to cross off which ones you have used in the word bank to help determine the other ones, do that as well, please. All right, moving on. 21. So directions match the organelle with this function. So on this side, we have the organelles, and this side we have the function. So please put the letter that you think goes with each organelle. So please put the letter on the line. So our options again are mitochondria, nucleus, centriolus, and rough endoplasmic reticulum. If you need to look at the cell to help you remember what its job is, feel free to do so. All right, maybe that'll help you a little bit. So this first one for A, which organelle keeps the organelles organized? So please put the letter on the line that you think that the organelle keeps the organelles organized. B, produces energy. So this one is the powerhouse of the cell. Which organelle produces energy? C, this organelle creates proteins and has ribosomes on the outside of it. Which organelle creates proteins and has ribosomes on the outside of it? And the last one, D, controls and regulates the activities of the cell. Which one controls and regulates the activities of the cell, or otherwise known as the brain? Feel free to pause. I'm going to keep moving on. We have a little bit left. Answer the following questions in complete sentences. 25. How do you determine whether something is living or non-living? Make sure you write in complete sentences. How do you determine whether something is living or non-living? Think about the definitions of living and non-living. Feel free to pause. 26. What different tools can you use to help you determine whether something is living or non-living? So what types of different tools can you use? So what different tools can you use to help you determine whether something is living or non-living? If you need a pause, feel free. All right, then the last part is extra credit. So for the extra credit, you get a maximum of 2 points. So you can label any 2 correctly. So you can label all of them if you want to try and get the best possible outcome, okay? So you need to label 2 microscope parts correctly. This one is pointing towards the top where you look through. This next one is a big knob. This one is a small knob. This one down here is pointing towards this big square piece. This one is pointing towards this thing down here. This one is pointing towards things that magnify. And the last one is pointing towards this little piece right here that holds the things that magnify. And you can rotate it. So remember, you really only need to label 2, but if you want a better chance of getting all the points, just in case you get one wrong, feel free to label as many that you know. After you are done with that, please make sure you have your name at the top on the front page. Congratulations, you just finished your test. Feel free to rewind me or go back to a part that you need to look at again. Also, please feel free to utilize the solution stations. They're very helpful.